Oops, I accidentally sent out the stream notification for this before... I started streaming before I sent out the stream notification. Silly me. Hey, I'm here. I didn't stream last night. I've been busy / under the weather the last couple days. You could probably hear it the last couple streams I did of this. You hate math. I think a lot of people hate math. I'm so sorry. But yeah, if you remember my last stream, I was kind of like very phlegmy, and I was getting really tired. I think it was kind of a precursor. I think I've been a little sick. I actually ended up taking off work today just to rest, but I'm feeling good enough now. So, and I didn't stream last night, but I'm feeling good enough now. It is pretty late. It's 12:30, way later than I would normally stream at this point, but I think for the time being, we could still do a 2.5 to like 3 hour stream. Eat soup. Do you eat soup or you drink soup? It's kind of a conundrum. Anyway, we're on the second day of the memoir. I guess the third day. No, second day of the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. We just finished the first trial part. We determined that Shamspear was stealing gas from the gas company, and because this is so, because it got so convoluted, we now think that the poison that he drank may have been in one of the bars of soap on his ledge, which didn't kill him. He is still very much alive. So it's interesting that he's still implicating our friend Soseki here as the murderer, attempted murderer. So, I mean, we know he's not because he gets off, but we'll have to go through this as we go along. So this is literally right after the trial ended. I have not done anything. I had to stop right on time. Also, is my voice loud enough? Because I had to fiddle with the microphone. Okay, that sounds good. Anyway, yes. Tomorrow. I mean, I guess it's really not worth mentioning this right now, but yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be on Shellshock Prime stream around 9 p.m. We're going to be talking about voice acting in video games. So I'll probably share links to that on Twitter. I don't know if I'm going to stream after that. Depends on how long it goes. I might actually. I don't know. Saturday, I might stream as well earlier, but I'm not entirely sure. I might have some stuff to do on Saturday, and then Sunday's Easter, but I will stream that night. But yeah, let's just get into it here, because it's been 4 minutes and I haven't started playing yet. 22nd February, 1:11 p.m., Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Ah! Oh yeah, I got my Chocobo collection today. I posted pictures of it on Twitter. Figuring out how to put it in the box is very weird, because there's a way to do it, but no one has pictures of how it's supposed to be set up. But I think I figured it out, and I've got it in a way that looks really nice. I just have nowhere to put it. I had to put it in front of my Solata Robo box, which, also that series has news. They're releasing vinyls of the Fuga soundtrack, and I might have to get one, or both, or... God, I'm not a vinyl person. Don't do this to me. Whew, we made it back in one piece. Just... To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London. We were very nearly flattened several times. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. I've noticed, people pointed this out, but it's very cool that, that they kind of even take, like, the cultural thing. Whenever Susato and Ryunosuke are talking to each other in the presence of other people, they'll refer to them as Mr. Like, they'll refer to them by their names normally, and they'll refer to the other people by, like, Mr. and Mrs., but when they're alone or talking to another Japanese person, they will use the Japanese honorifics. Oh, thank you. And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow. Yes, let's do that. Is everything alright? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it. That's all. That I'm here in England, working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. I have to tilt this over just a tad, because it's like... I'm seeing the edge of the screen on my other screen behind the OBS, and whenever a screen flashes, I see the screen flash in the background like 5 seconds later, and it's very distracting. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma. It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him. Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same thing if he were here with us. Thank you, Sasato-san. Thank you. I have to check one thing real quick here. Nope, alright, never mind. Ooh, my bitrate dipped, like, really hard for just, like, a second. No, it wasn't like, but no, I wasn't feeling like, it's a really weird type of sick. Like, I don't know what it was exactly. I had a really bad headache, but I think it's finally gone as of, like, about 30 minutes ago. Okay, this is the same conversation. I heard that there's another room behind that door. Yes, it's my bedroom, Naruhodo-san, as you well know. Shall I help you unpack your things? That's very kind, but no thank you. Your luggage looked very heavy. Are you sure I can't help you move it? That's very kind, but really, no thank you. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. The only secret I have is the 5-yen banknote hidden on the backside of my Daruma doll. Wait, 5-yen banknote? They made banknotes for 5 cents back then? That's like that's literally like getting a dollar bill that's only worth 5 cents. A 5-cent bill. These tanks are for keeping sea creatures. They're called aquariums, and they were all the rage in London at one time, apparently. Yes, the English are so clever, coming with the idea of having ocean life on display in the home. And it means you always have an emergency midnight feast on hand, too. I'm not sure that's really the idea. Is that onions? Why is there like a load of onions there? There's really not a lot to examine here right now. In the final case of the first game, which takes place after this one, as has been established already, this whole place is kind of set up into an office. Okay, none of her dialogue is different. We could just move out of here. Oh, Runo and Susie! Hooray, you're back! Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am, and you look just as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups. Really? Thanks, Iris. But, actually, what is that foul smell? Aha! The Wanderers return at last! Where on earth have the pair of you been? We've been in court? Oh, for Mr. Mustache's case. That was today, was it? I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really, I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long. Is Lord Van Zeek's an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still. Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor? Yes, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That's a scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science. Oh, dear. Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Anything new on the board? No. Okay. Lord Barak Van Zeeks. Yes, it's an interesting sobriquet he has, isn't it? Sobriquet? Okay, I guess that's attitude. The Reaper... Oh, name, title. The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts. Sooner or later, the hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how, exactly? By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or, quite out of the blue, being set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. Well, seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mustache is fighting fit, for the time being at least. It's not overly reassuring. It's very fitting for what you're working on right now. Nice. If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Zeek's own hand. As it happens, Mrs. Sato, that is quite impossible. Oh? Why? Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast-iron alibi. Really? And so his reign continued, but 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the other day I arrived when I was thrust into that trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection. It really did end bitterly indeed. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again. Poor Runo. I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky. Or incredibly unlikable. I think it goes deeper than me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. Japanese people. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Mrs. Sato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeek seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese. Indeed. It's an interesting observation. Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes? It was about 10 years ago that Barak Van Zeeks chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan. No. What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair. Oh, but... the veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. Watch it be Sasato's father. Like how Sasato's father was friends with Dr. Wilson, who used to be Sholmes' companion. Watch Mikotoba, I forget his first name. Watch Sasato's father be Lord Van Zeeks' old partner. And he betrayed them somehow. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. So, what is that indescribably foul smell? Ah, well, most probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea. Oh, my. Oh, this will let us figure out if the liquid is tea in the soap. There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but it is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris? At the ready, Hurley. I just add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens? It turned completely black. And what a foul odor it's giving off. Indeed, the blacker the tea becomes and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling. That's very ingenious, but what do you do with that black liquid now? Why, dispose of it, naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you? There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes. Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is, we are entering a new era of science. In the world of criminal investigation, also. Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times. I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Herlock-Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative techniques are based. This little tea indicant was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science? I suppose you should find out more about that. So your tea test, is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether some tea is of high or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases then. Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprints? Not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Really, we are dragging our heels there. I hadn't even heard of them until recently. Which is partly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course. Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes? There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I am researching is skin prints. Skin prints? A nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whatever person is under investigation. Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes. Excuse me. As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues. That's the spirit, Runo. See you later. Yes, until later. No, Mr. Sholmes, we were thinking you'd come with us. You were? Yes, of course. You said so just a moment ago. You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action. Ah, yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later, in all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Your commitment astounds me. Well, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We will eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye, Susie. What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance. Yes, I hear angry voices. What the? Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily, thou art mistaken. Mistaken, my foot. You were looking at my painting. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that mustache villain gaveth me. Forgive me, lady. I wish you died from that poison. God a mercy, ample lady, but thou seest I have vigor still. Behold my sham-spear dance! This looks rather ominous, doesn't it? Ah, lo, 'tis the lawyer from the land whence riseth the sun. How now? What are you doing here, Mr. Shamspear? Marry, I do believe I'm returned unto another ward. He was looking, that's what he was doing. Looking at my terrible work. God damn it, berries and cream. He has the appearance of the berries and cream person. And Miss Green has the height of the berries and cream person. Eastern fellow, so darky clad. Eichlid? I don't know. Faith, thy work in the court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee. Oh, well, thank you. But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it? The weak scepter. Anon, exeunt! Mr. Shamspear might technically be the victim in this case, but there's definitely a lot more to it than that. It's very hard to pin the man down. I'm so sorry. I'm such an awful person. Ah, Miss Green, is everything alright? Oh, yes, I mean, don't worry about me. Oh, don't worry about me, excuse me. They're about to discharge me, so I must get ready to leave now. Oh, I see. We're delighted that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Mrs. Green. Oh dear, you're too kind. I don't deserve it. It's weird how both this case and the previous case don't actually have a murder victim. Because Miss Green is alive and Shamspear's alive. I don't deserve it. This looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so he or she is probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. All sorts of medicines in this cabinet, look. Not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. Who that is. I can't even examine the painting that's on the floor. So are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green? I am, thank you. I mean, people do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me. Well, yes, it was really an ordeal, wasn't it? As far as I was concerned, I was just walking along in the snow one evening, minding my own business. And then completely out of the blue, I was struck in the back by a knife and collapsed unconscious for days. Of course, when I finally woke up again yesterday, the whole business had been cleared up already. What a terrible week it's been for you. Oh no, I'm sure I'm very lucky, really. I'll look back on this fondly. Really? Anyway, I must be getting my things together now, so I'm ready to be discharged. Oh yes, of course. Sorry to take up your time when you're obviously busy. seem like there's anything else here. Local prison, cell 9. Okay, nothing going on here. Mr. Garrideb appears to be out. Oh well. Suppose we'll just have to come back again later. We probably shouldn't poke around here whilst Mr. Garrideb is out. I don't feel like this room's too necessary to the case anyway. Absolutely nothing new here. Why they refer to as Mr. Natsume's lodgings? It's really weird. Especially since this isn't even his room. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson. What are you doing here? Should I get lunch? See, this is the thing. I think I might be getting dinner tomorrow, so I might not want to get lunch tomorrow. Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually. The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware. Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it? With the tea in it? Yeah, we found it all right, and there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said. I knew it! It's with the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today. That's wonderful news, thank you! Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry? Nothing, forget it. Just make sure you don't disturb anything in here. The ill-fated teacups from which the two men drank on the ill-fated night. During their heated literary debate, yes. Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It sounds like it was quite a discussion. Now I think of it, I'm sure the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison. It's fiction, Mrs. Sato. Let's hope it stays that way. So it turns out that Mr. Shamspeare wasn't eating the soap at all. That's right. The mystery of why he had it on a plate whilst holding a fork in his hand is solved. Yes, to prize his latest ice coin out of its mold. And in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two. It certainly was hard to imagine, let alone deduce. Okay, that envelope piece isn't anything new. Oh, there's Mr. Sholmes. He's over there. Wow, I actually did not see him there. He blended in perfectly. Sun never shines in this room thanks to that depressing bricked-up window. Yet, with enough determination, you can always remove the bricks to set some soap outside, can't you? That sounds like a very wise life lesson, Mrs. Sato. Only if you plan to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo. If you ran out of change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. For the needy, London's winters can be very harsh. That's true, but if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change. London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful, too, then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Sasato-san and I are going to make it to spring. That's true, we don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove. I like how she could just read his mind, with like no, and they don't bring it up at all. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter there. Yes, from all the water dripping out after the ice coins melted as you established in court this morning. It's a very large and obvious stain, isn't it? Mr. Shamsphere must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose. It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. Are you looking for new clues, Inspector? On Lord Van Zeek's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you got something for me, he says. Oh dear, poor you. Yeah, poor me. Because we've already searched every bleeding nook and cranny of this place. I don't know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips is all I can say. Well, at least he's honest. Hat, like this hat over here, like it a lot. Also, speaking of the stuff I was going to zoom in on, they updated the Kirby icons you could get today, and they updated it with the best possible icon. And I am probably not I've changed this every week when new icon pieces come out now. But I'm not changing this. It's perfect as it is. And it comes with the background, too. Perfect deal. You get the character and the background for 10 silver platinum coins. I do have the Kirby burger, though. I do have that burger. Let me tell you, this whole concept of custom icons that you could build with a bunch of, like, pre-made stuff for platinum coins, which you just get by using the Switch. It's such an ingenious idea. And it's unfortunate that they weren't able to, like, work it into the actual avatar system. Because if you open it, it clearly shows you having no avatar on the screen. So it's probably going to cause some sort of... It might cause some sort of issue, but I think most games could use custom images anyway, so it shouldn't matter too much. It is really nice, though. Mr. Sholmes, what are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Oi, what are you doing there? Sholmes. What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems. Is now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action as you promised? With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madam. What's all this? Didn't you use these in the first time we met him? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Herlock Sholmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. That's a friggin' revolver. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim. A sample from Mr. Shamspeare's cup? Each individual leaves a microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There, now, spray the chemical indicator about and all will be revealed. Spray? How do I do that exactly? A little press of A on the area you're interested in is all that's required. Like this. What is this stuff? It's like fog. A suspension of the chemical indicator in a pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered incidentally whilst I was developing this idea. As you do. Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. Well, I didn't touch the envelope. So it's specifically looking for stuff that Shamspear touched at this point, not Natsume. Look, there are dozens of handprints here. So there are, a great many indeed. So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual print, in fact. It sends a chill down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired this picture? Unlikely, I would say. It's a rather dull scene, after all. And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I feel. Oh, very true, Mrs. Sato. It's a bit of a mystery, then. It's what we in the business call a mystery. Oh, look at all this here. That looks freaky, yeah. Ah, yes, interesting. A multitude of victims' handprints. Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot? Oh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here? There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over, though, is there? I wonder. Personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over. I think that's something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes. Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yes, there's no obvious explanation. Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we? We did, but there are two places in particular that are of interest, I would say. The handprints on the floor here, right next to that weird piece of wood that's clearly not liftable. And on the wall by the picture, you mean, that's clearly got nothing behind it. I mean, come on. Look at the wood. It's clearly not in. Yes, and I think the floor wants closer investigation. I won't be a moment. Ah! What is it, Mrs. Sato? Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out. See, don't you notice they're referring to each other as Miss and Mr. now? Because they're talking in the presence of Sherlock. Sorry, Herlock. Ooh, I don't know who Sherlock is. That's not a character in this game. Herlock and Inspector Gregson. Wow. Look, I'm sick. Okay, we can let that slide. One of the. You mean it's a secret hiding place? Excellent work, Mr. Sato. So, what do we have here? Boy, what are you lot doing? Inspector Gregson, stand aside right this minute. It's my job to investigate there. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig in your portion of chips whilst we dig around under the floor here. Your fancy talk's putting me off my food anyway, Sholmes. A new bit of evidence is exactly what I need. Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find. It's not a hiding place you could make use of in Japan. I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat. No, I know, but I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there, too. Aren't you curious? Oh! I'll investigate it once. Oh, wow. You're a lot smaller over at the end than I thought you would be. I guess Shamspear had to stand on that box, too. There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall. Oh, okay. Interesting. How disappointing. But then, how do you explain the handprints? I really can't think of why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that. There you are. A print for you. Photograph of the handprints on the wall has been entered into the court record. Traces of handprints on the wall discovered by the skin print seeker gun. There are multiple prints on either side of a hanging picture. Oh, thank you very much. His invention can make prints, too? Now then, I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there. I'm desperate to know! So am I. Whoops. Maybe he put his hand there while he's just turning the gas lamp on, or something. I'd love to know if there's anything hidden underneath the floorboard there. Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we're well acquainted. Inspector Gregson! Really? It's been too long! What is it, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there. Seeing as we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. Ugh. Kill to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then. Fair's fair. What? You did discover the hiding place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he always blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Stop making me out to be some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there. A newspaper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? Looks like this was cut out of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester. How terrible. It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first. Oh my goodness! He committed a capital offense? A man by the name of Selden. Nasty piece of work, into burglaries and murder. They say the hoard he knocked off was worth about £1,000. A hoard? Of treasure, you mean? Jewelry and the like, but he'd hidden it somewhere. No one knows where, and now he's dead. The papers loved it, of course. £1,000 lost en route to hell, or some such was the headline. Does it not strike you, though? Why such an article would be so carefully ensconced under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we've got on Selden back at the yard and see if I can turn anything up. Capital offender article has been entered into the court record. Newspaper article about Selden, a criminal sentenced to receive the death penalty. However, he died of an illness in prison whilst his loot remained undiscovered. Manchester Strangeways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours of the morning. He had been suffering with a fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. The condemned criminal dies of natural causes in prison. This is a photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me. What the? Okay, wait a minute. Yes, it appears it would have been taken on the street in front of the house here. Mr. Garadeb and the guy from the photo that Miss Green had. This is the guy that died in the room that Mr. Natsume was staying in, right? And he was Miss Green's boyfriend. And that's why she's so upset. Is that it? Oh, that's gonna be very sad if that's true. The gentleman on the left is Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, of course. But who's the young man on the right? Mr. Garadeb's son, perhaps? Perhaps. You could take that print if you like. Really? Are you sure? We could presume, therefore, that the Yard already knows. The identity of the young fellow, that is. Is that true? Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, leaking information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling you. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. A photographic print found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. It shows the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, together with a young man. I wonder why a photograph like this was hidden under the floor. I mean, Mr. Shamspeare himself isn't in it. Photographic prints are still a rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garadeb was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it. This tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be in the least surprised. Yeah, funnily enough, I've already had a look. It's completely empty. What? Shamspeare, give us a clue, man! You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box. Yes, thin air. It's empty. Rather like how I feel inside. Same. Is there nothing more to this box, then? I wonder. Cat. Oh, look, it's that lovely little kitty cat. What was its name? It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahai? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. Wonder how he got in here. Clever cat. Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai, here's something delicious I brought you from the cat's meat man. Meat. Aw, he's loafing. He couldn't be happier now. Look. I just hope he could bring some happiness to his owner, too. Excuse me. There's a cat in Ace Attorney 2 named Shu. S-H-O-E. That was a cheeky little meow, Wagahai. Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate that after a while, and we have an investigation to get back to. Can I have the tin box? No, we can't. Alright, I don't think there's anything left to look at here. Nothing there either. Okay. I can't even present stuff to people. Like, come on. We literally have the photo of that dude right here. Let me present it. Kazuma's wishes. Kazuma Asogi, the best friend I ever had, and a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I could still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after that trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you could fit inside my trunk. If you curl up small enough, I'm sure. No one will know. Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I could accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial. That you really ought to go into law. Be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it. Believe me. I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You'll have to decide that for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world. The city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no. Never mind. Haruhodo-san? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about Kazuma. Yes, he's forever in my thoughts, too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course. Yes, that's right, but... Yes? I do wonder if his true intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all. Oh! Maybe we got some stuff here that I had to, like, dig through. Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions? I mean, this. His katana? I never expected to inherit his sword the day... Also, I'm sorry, let me do one thing here. I have a so I sit in this leather chair, like, all day while I'm working, and, it does not let my, my seating parts breathe well. I'm gonna try putting this cushion under it instead, and see if that relieves some of the, weird feeling. I can't do that because this cushion is also used to help dampen my sound when I'm, auditioning. So I can't use it all the time. But, it's nice to have at least. Yes, my sitting parts, don't worry. I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma passed away, of course. No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it. When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage. Yes. Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Kurama? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. What did he mean by something very important that I have to do? I'd hoped the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here, but as yet I've not found a single clue. I see. Hey, Sour Cream. What happened? The trial was over, so I've been investigating. That's kind of it. That's kind of all I could say. So, we know that Soseki-san took the tea to the victim on the night in question. But as he isn't the culprit, then obviously... Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea. But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get in Mr. Shamspeare's body? I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspeare's room that will help us solve the mystery. Well, naturally, Scotland Yard detectives have been over the place already. But it couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think. Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of the soap. Bar of the soap? Bar of soap. Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we can ask him about that. We did already. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding out that he's actually a bare-faced gas thief as well. Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. Legend of Zelda and the Bar of Soap. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san poisoning the tea. Careful of your phrasing, Sasato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to this Mr. Shamspeare than we're yet to know. I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspeare certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Oh, which one is that? Let me see. Ah, yes, he's at St. Bartholomew's. Or Bart's, as Londoners call it. We know that place, don't we? Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which she was taken. Ah, yes, after Soseki-san stabbed her in the back. Do be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone. Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. I mean, I already did all that. B-Lady is still best woman. Okay, did I miss something here? No, 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 cat, no. The tea wasn't in the tea. Well, I don't know, the tea might have been poisoned, but they don't think Mr. Soseki didn't poison it himself. Okay, what the frig? I don't know where we're supposed to go. Oh, here we go. I guess I had to get I had to talk about Cosmo with Sasato before I could unlock that. Local prison cell 9. Oh, Mr. Natsume is back. So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello. I am a cat. Sorry? I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Hairlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts or trials or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat. Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to? He already has, completely. So, what is your name, then? As yet I have no name. Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality. Oh god, I have a suspicion that Shammy there poisoned the tea as Saseki left. God damn it. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, bump, bump. Oh, hey. Oh, that's a cute animation, sour cream. That's neat. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? Natsume became a furry. I am not a cat. It worked. He's back in the real world. Oh, what's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that. It's obvious. My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate. Mr. Natsume, no. This morning's proceedings in court prove that there's hope. Yes, yes, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but... The Reaper is omnipresent in court, in my lodgings! Here, there, everywhere! Natsume. God damn it. What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss. Oh, yes. Yes, we must. Okay, yeah, I think it's getting way too hot in my room. Because I have to pull my headphones off because they're making me too hot. I'm gonna do something... This is probably not a smart idea. I'm gonna turn my my air conditioner's fan on and see if it gives me any coolness in here. Give me 1 second. The gas possessed your room? No. I don't trust how dirty that air conditioner looks, though. I better clean the filter out in that. You can probably hear it now. Hold on. You can probably hear it now. Hold on. Wait. You can probably hear... Oh, wait. Shoot. Shoot. Stop. Shoot. Stop. Yeah, you can kind of hear it. A little bit. The game's gonna drown it out. Should be fine. Usually what I do now is if it's hot in here, I will turn on the fan on the air conditioner and leave and just not have the air conditioner itself be on. Spirit of the Gaslight has rewarded you for exposing the gas larcen. Oh, yes. Yes, we must. I've shown him this. Mr. Natsume, it's nothing much, but... it's been too long since I've been offered a present with that delightfully humble etiquette of our homeland. What? You're too kind. I accept it gladly. Sorry, but I wasn't trying to give it to you, actually. What's this? It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So he knew, did he? Sorry? About this man, Selden. A convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings. Got an idea for an art budget you save for October? I mean, it's up to you. What? He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another. A miserable mustached, much maligned Japanese man. Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit. In my whole life, have I ever been so... as moved as I was today? No! Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. Plot twist, the boy's closet. Well, no. But if I just block those out, then today, being in that courtroom was the most moving experience of my life, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! You're too kind. Scotland Yard found the remaining tea just as we deduced, and are analyzing it as we speak. I'm gonna adjust the fan. Sorry, one second. Just wanna make sure it's pointing in the right direction here. God, the inside of this thing is so disgusting. I really need a new air conditioner, I think. That thing's probably spewing poison out. Japanese boy was Kazuma? No, there's no Japanese boy there. Huh? There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a... solemn, sworn, Soseki certainty. Huh. Oh no. It might be spewing the... It might be the air conditioner... It might be one of the air conditioners and changed. But it's not making a crackling noise. Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night? Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. And at the same time, you were both completely fine. As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspeare both engaged in a Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then. Rotten Shamspeare, what have I ever done to him? You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently? I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything. Anything at all! Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner. Let you know what, Mr. Natsume? About the soap, of course. What else? Oh dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend? Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live an accursed existence in such accursed lodgings. Oh yes, you said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you? Exactly, especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me. Capital offender? Might I ask, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, that next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soaps. The truth is, I don't know the details. The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now. And at that time, he was hiding out in lodgings, at Mr. Garrideb's house. What? He lived where you do now? No, the poison had to be taken by ingestion. It wasn't a gaseous poison. Maybe? I don't know, actually. That's a good question. Maybe the gas was poisoned. But I don't know. Strychnine. No container for the poison was found on scene. Maybe it has to do with the gas meter in his room. But he did. Well, no, he was pulling a coin out while he was working. Well, maybe he. Okay. I don't know. The coin that was in that bar of soap that he was dislodging was gone. So maybe he already burned that one. Burned it. He used it. That's right. Yes, exactly where I live now, in my very room. Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense? But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. The curse... What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume? It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison, a man died in the room. That man who rented it after Selden, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in a mysterious circumstance. The room was locked from the inside. Locked from the inside? Exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So that's the convict's curse, is it? Yes, well, that was the start of it. This is gonna tie back to the gas company, isn't it? Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume? The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas. Gas? I only found out that after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Garrideb came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room. Landlord's lease, luckily legal. Lucky for Mr. Garrideb, maybe. Not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you? It is. At first, I just felt as though I was being watched. All the time. And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you? The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. And then the room is as cold as ice. But why is your room so cold? Yeah, this is totally tying back to the gas thing. So, here's what I'm assuming. From the photo we could tell, that guy sure has a long mustache. Yes, he does. Hey, Yashi. So from what I could tell, this guy is Olive Green's either sibling or boyfriend. He died in that room via asphyxia from gas. This condemned criminal who died in that room, or who was in that room prior, probably has some connection to either Quimby Altamont or Olive Green. That's what I'm assuming here. London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed at night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas. But that's terrible. It's exactly the same situation as what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspear last night, when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident than can be explained by a curse, though. Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garrideb's rooms? Oh yeah, Shamspear. Why would he have that stuff hidden? I don't know. This is all getting very curious. Natsume, what do you know about this? Ah, there it is! That lathery lowlife that took my neighbor's life and sent me sliding to the depths of despair! Slipping, sickly, psychotic saboteur! You've really gone off soap, haven't you? Absolutely, and I've made up my mind. The next time someone gives me soap as a present, it's... friendship finished firmly, forever! I don't know how that we can blame soap for everything that's happened, Mr. Natsume. Oh, okay, when Sasato says, do you know, I don't think we visited this place in some time, that probably means that it's got something new there. Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garrideb. It's Moon Man. Right bally business it is for me, you know, getting out and about. Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance? Naturally, fate of my lodgings hanging in the balance and all that, not a trial to miss. Fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes. Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. As the old haunted lodgings or some such. Ah, well, at least he knows. Makes you wonder what in the blazes is going on, don't you know? Yes, I'm sure it does. In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's other trial just 2 days ago, you were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened. Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business. I see. His wife is the one who's accidentally stabbed Miss Green in the back. She threw a knife out the window, it bounced off the window and landed in Miss Green's back. And that's why she's in prison right now. But she, like, obviously she didn't mean to do it, and the game definitely doesn't paint her as a bad guy. So, but unfortunately that's why she isn't here, because she's currently in jail for what she did. So what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh? Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows as of late. Thanks to that bally curse. The convict's curse, you mean? Heard the stories, have you? Rotten scoundrel was arrested here, then the next chap in the room goes and keels over. And there was that woman who dropped dead just outside in the street, not to mention the actor yesterday. Am I next, eh? Well, can't help but get the collybobbles, can you? When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shamspear, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still. Yes, well, so it is that blasted convict's curse, it seems. Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why... Excuse me, it sounds like the lap of luxury. Not so sure about that. Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either. But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here. Yes, it never hurts to keep an eye on things, in case there are any mishaps or such like. I think you've had your mishap already, sir. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes. Heavens forgive me. The word just came to my lips. Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? There's no need for that, Mr. Garrideb. That's right, Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy. He is undeniably peculiar, however. Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away? Yes, that's right. I asked the estate agent to find someone and he popped up the very same day. Never came across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were. I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on so much as the cheap rent, actually. So, how long has Mr. Shamspear been lodging under your roof? That Failed actor chap? Let me see. Oh, of course. It's been about 3 months now, quite sure of it. Only 3 months? It's quite new here too, then. That's when what's-his-name was executed. And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Garrideb, if I might ask? Well, it was that Selden scoundrel, as it happens. Selden? The convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shamspear have some kind of connection, then? The convict chap, Selden, passed away in the clink 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other. Yes, we've seen the report from the newspaper at the time. Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fellow. Really? Yes, I remember it quite distinctly. 'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor, offered erewhile for rent. Erewhile? I don't know. I'm terribly sorry, not, but that won't be possible. Already have a lodger in the middle floor. Ground floor room's vacant, though. Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee. Those crows must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's ground floor or nothing. Very well, we have an accord. Glad to hear it. Welcome to Briar Road. Lo, a Shamspear dance to celebrate! What I heard in court today sounds like the chap was thieving gas. And he was 3 months in arrears with the rent, too. Yes, the fellow was a bally player, all right. Thank you for your candor, Mr. Garrideb. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe. Put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. What's happened to you? Shakespeare, my dear fellow, one of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learnings of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know. Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines, then. Mr. Garrideb, can I ask you to look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you there? No, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name. Duncan Ross? A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot. Just for kicks, really. Was he by any chance the lodger before Mr. Natsume? Yes, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little more about him? Yes, Duncan Ross, young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it, mind. Moved him into the middle floor about a year ago after that criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history of cheap rent, maybe, yes. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers were up to at the time. So sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. Smell of gas that alerted me it was. Ah, yes, synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door off its hinges. But once we got inside, we all badly collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes, the room was full of it. No air at all. The stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and that. Can't you tell how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house? Can't you tell you how much it set me back? But even after you got all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. The stove goes out at night whilst he's asleep in bed. Well, that's the bally curse. That's the convict's curse. I've done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. Alright, so obviously the gas company's involved. Shamspeare might be involved here. Oh, that reminds me, actually. Yes? About young Duncan, the night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter of affection to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Well, we know who it's to. Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me, let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Do you think we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence? My dear Mrs. Sato, that is precisely why I prefaced my reading with, if you'll excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes, no. Sadly, he didn't address it, though, so I have no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see. That's going to play on my mind. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone. Yes, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there is a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please, I've already had to chastise you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling. Olive Green. Olive Green? A woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her backside outside this house 5 days ago. The victim of the last case Soseki-san was in court for, who regained consciousness only yesterday. Is it just chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence? Mr. Naruhodo, whatever can this mean? Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Mrs. Sato. Mr. Naruhodo, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last. This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves. Ah! What is it? Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hid something behind her back. Well, one moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello, everyone. Well, what are you all doing here? The doctor has said I can be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing. Really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me. That's all. Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's alright. I don't really have anything else to tell you. Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. This is the bottle that Miss Green was just about to drink from when we arrived. Yes, she looked rather preoccupied, didn't she? Perhaps it's very bitter. I can't stand bitter medicine. I suppose that could be it. In fact, whenever a doctor prescribes me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. Oh no! Well, if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it? Oh dear, and I thought it was Miss Green I should be worrying about at the moment. Down in one. This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it? Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects. Right. I should say peeking for gentlemen's effects only. You mustn't do that either. And maybe you, Mrs. Sato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, hmm? Miss Green, about this. Could you just hold that there for a moment? Don't move. Sorry? No. The aesthetics are all wrong. Is it wrong that I feel so thoroughly rejected? It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green. Oh, yes, I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat. She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. Well, time to hit the wham moment. Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you? Oh no, I'm so sorry. The bottle of medicine fell down when she did. You had to examine the bottle before it fell. Oh, Miss Green, are you alright? That's how you got that one accolade. I think there's another special accolade for this chapter that involves, Herlock. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to startle you like that. No, it's alright. I just wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan. A year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. And the two of you became romantically involved? Yes, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. Roger in the Gyaradev house will pass away a month ago as a result of gas poisoning. That's why he decided to move into a cheaper room, to save money for the wedding. And that's what led him to Mr. Gyarade's. Yes, he told me he found the worst, but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. I'm so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks so desperately sad. I was starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the way the universe is against her. I do hope you won't think I'm being rude, but... would you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. Of course we'll be on our way. Mr. Naruhodo! Oh, I was right. It was Herlock. And you see I spun into the scene? Surely you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question. What? Mr. Sholmes? I didn't realize you were here. But of course I was, my dear fellow, watching intently from the shadows, as always. Well, make your presence known next time. Mr. Sholmes, what's this all about? Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Mrs. Sato, is this. Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto modus operandi? Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what sets a great detective apart. What do you mean? There's a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh my god, the rat is dead, isn't it? So let us avert this disaster. Let us prevent this case from ever happening, with nothing but careful observation. Alright. All the clues you need are set before you. You only need look, and you cannot fail to see. You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo. I know you can. That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you? I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of that bottle. But that's the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived. You don't think... Ah, I see you've come to appreciate the true nature of this scene. That of a tragedy about to take place. Yes, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the bottle you had before spilt onto the floor, and the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. Oh, I think it's clear that that bottle must have contained a powerful poison. Don't worry, I will attend to the mouse presently. Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life? Once we'd left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison? No! Miss Green, please talk to us. Mr. Duncan Ross. Who would have ever thought he was engaged to be married to Miss Green? To lose one's beloved fiancé must be painful enough. And then Miss Green suffered that awful injury, and outside her fiancé's former lodgings, too. Fate can be very cruel sometimes. Unalive. 10 seconds later, we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would have not enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green. Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted. Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine? Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while, so I snuck this out when he wasn't looking. It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains. I'm afraid I don't really know, but I thought if I drank it, it might just stop the pain somehow. Please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Guess that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no, oh, it's all my fault. What have I done? I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection? No, none. I figure out if there's something else I gotta do here or not. Is that ripped off piece of envelope from the love letter? Miss Green, about this soap. I think I know what that is. It's that soap-shaped chocolate, isn't it? No, this is just normal soap. Well, normal poor quality soap. Oh, that was lucky. At least it wasn't a trick this time. A trick? I fell for it only the other day. It's a soap-shaped chocolate, they said. Just one bite and I was foaming at the mouth. I passed out. It tasted so awful. Oh my. What is it about people recently that makes them all eat soap? Is there perhaps something you might be able to tell me if I show you this photograph, Miss Green? Oh, is that a corpse? No, he's not dead. Of course, the night he had that poison, I was still more or less dead here in my hospital bed. She was still in a coma then, that's true. And then just as I get on my feet again, that man keels over. There's a strange balance to life sometimes. No. Really, Mr. Shamspeare isn't dead. Huh. Oh, the letter. Definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere. Yes. It may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believed was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Neither the sender's name or address appear to be written on the envelope or card. It arrived by post at my home the day before the incident that put me in the hospital here. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Oh, it's missing the piece of the envelope that's in Shamsphere's room. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. That was 5 days ago when she got stabbed. Wait a minute. The 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road. And 5 p.m. is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad, yes. A pub on the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road being the street that Mr. Garrideb's house is on. Does this mean that... Yes, I'm sure you've guessed. That day, when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the Slug and Salad. Goodness. So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. Wow, and that was a terrible mishap, too, because that was completely dumb, coincidentally, that she got stabbed. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything. Yes, I'm very sorry to have had to drag up such a painful memory for you. No, it's fine. Miss Green, please, promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how all this has made me feel. Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind, we made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of our investigative trail for today. Yes, it's late. And, Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Details about Mr. Shamsphere or Mr. Garrideb's lodgings? The convict Selden? There are many facets to this case. Oh, wait, hold on. Is that Ryunosuke saying that? You know, details about Mr. Shamsphere, Mr. Garrideb's lodgings, and the convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway. I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis. Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean? Yes, will they have found strychnine in it or not? Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper. Oh dear. Yes, Barak von Zeeks. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial. Mr. Sholmes, you going to come? Indeed, whatever happens, I shall be there, assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people, but away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Soseki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow would be a new dawn, for all of us. Whew. Woo, lads. February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. No number. Oh, God. Get away from me. Is this it then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that's been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mrs. Sato. Suffering Soseki selfishly sidelined! Ah! Good morning to you, Mr. Natsume. Good morning? Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Listen to you two chatting away happily as the main player of today's trial isn't here! Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting. What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid, somehow. You'll have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume. That was just an example! Ah, yes, there it is. Inner calm. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandoned me and returned to our beautiful, long-lost homeland. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh? What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think, that he's overslept again. The great detective, my arch-nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative. The trial's about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. Don't fear the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. Sorry, I'm adjusting my chair here. There we go. 23rd February, 9:40 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. And here we are, and here we are, and here we are. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good, and now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done, you mark my words. I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could just adjust my hat for me, and please be as ruthless as you like. These deserve to die if you ask me, especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all. Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. I don't have time for this. I got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, what can you tell us? I'm a vampire. prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. So he does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock. You live, but you still hate math and not clear instruction problems as trick questions. I hate that too. I absolutely hate when they do trick questions and math problems in school. It's like, why are you going to teach them math and then try to swerve on them? And it's happened. It absolutely is something that happens, and that annoys the shit out of me. And I'm good at math. Sorry, one second. Alright, I'll just remember to answer that later. I'm not gonna go into a whole thing. 3 days of this crap, you're dead. Aw. Okay, never mind. Sorry, gotta go. Gotta keep moving. Pray, allow me a moment to savor a liquid of more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in the little depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea! That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night. Well, the brains of the yacht analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. No poison at all. In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation! As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is blameless here. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true no poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But, what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamspeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Crap. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shamspeare. Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. Bailiff, show Mr. Shamspeare to the stand. Mr. William Shamspeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a belly full of the foul fluid given in mine innocence. Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he'd been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given. That's right, fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten, kept all about that ice coins in a tidy secret, didn't ya? Should have owned up sooner. Arrest him, I say, arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail. Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own deeds, I confess. thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths, and for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it still be a greater... Oh my god. Still some water left here, hold on. Would it that a still greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
Objection!
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert is an inconsistency will be quickly cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare? Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak. Very well, let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that the poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea. The tea inconsistency. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, near did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use that tea remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did not pour into the molds of soap. Poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite, otherwise it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance. But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. I knew that. By now, it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused hands. Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause, I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare. Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. My lord. The tea inconsistency. Okay. Whilst feigning distraction and debate, near did a drop of his own drink past his lips. My lord, yeah. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make his coins of ice. There's no tea ring inside Mr. Natsume's cup.
Objection!
It's a very easy one. You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question, and that you used the tea that was left in his cup to make your fake coins. But that's not possible. How, chop logic? What is this, ye darky-clad friend? Euclid? Excuse me. The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the inside of these cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted. Drink tea while it's hot. That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his unusual self that night, and drank his tea in no time. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well, after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspear, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
Objection!
As a rule, I fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. That's a lot of alcohol to be drinking. I want to keep that information to yourself. Them shoes. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspear. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? A fact that had vanished from your memory until now. What? Whoa, wait. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. What teapot? Oh. That teapot. But Mr. Natsume said he only brought 2 cups in. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest. Objection! And you just suddenly remember now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. Prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No. What does this mean, then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about the thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Alehouse that night, if you meet me online, behind Grubb's Tavern, I will show you where the treasure is hidden. Naught did pass my lips but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death. On what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as wouldst be called soup, and a leaf as would be called salad. As insalubrious as a menu as the establishment where it was served. But you gods will give us some thoughts to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray ye wise and noble fellows ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspear doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord! Oh. If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. What? Wow, you changed your attitude real quick, considering you've seen him in action multiple times. By me? I do declare you may be right. We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. But what we've just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings. What? No, you can't yet. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Great. This kind of seems inconsistent. I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord. Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Very well, the court upholds the defense's right. Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of the crime in which he is charged. I do declare. Oh, man. What the fuck happened? How did... whatever. It is what it is. This game needs these to proceed, so I'm just shifting around again. I'm not used to sitting on this, this cushion. I might just put my leg under it. Jurors' contentions. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I do agree that the gas exploder is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. This stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes. Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supplies influence decisions somewhat. But never mind. No, you really should mind. The truth is our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspear was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Shamspear was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. The defense's rebuttal. Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? It's giving me it. There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you haven't noticed, against my company's gas. Am I supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. All I've learned about our wonderful fuels, explosions, and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the depth of your gas is deplorable. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver to our customers, fair and square. Indeed, nobody's questioning that, madam. Altamount is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes, and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours, without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks.
Excuse me!
Do you have something to say about that, Juror number 3? Oh golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry, I was just thinking to myself. Really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yeah. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see. Go on. An Altamount gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out the secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall, then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows, but it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect to their customers' pipes to our network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously there's gas in the pipes, and it's at fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around the neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. Yeah, that's science right there. Yeah, science. Yeah, Mr. White. Oh man, Better Call Saul comes back Monday. Final season. It's gonna be like the end of anything Breaking Bad related. Probably not, but I'm very excited for that. The trouble is, the particular worker who came by to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right, lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to diddle us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already. Very well, juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly. Yes, my lord, although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. Blow you out in a gas pipe and you extinguish everything in the house, and then you're in real trouble. Oh, maybe this is it.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, to whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question. What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene? To see if there are any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. But the mouth of a gas pipe? Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work is a man! What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord! Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Are they tasty then? Or was it the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry, he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. Alright, you can't come back in the middle of the stream and ask what you missed, because I have to. That's a lot to sum up. There's a lot going on right now. Gas, that's what's going on. Gas. We're going to step on the gas. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have been a contortionist. Or, he would have been standing on the box in front of it and clapped his hands right in the wall like he did there. God damn it. These are empty assertions. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
It's true. I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare puts his lips to the pipe. However, I could say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of the lamp on his wall. And I have the evidence to prove it. Why'd you slap yourself? Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence, then. So the theory is that the poison is the gas is still up in the air. Well, that's what it seems to be leading to. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again, Mr. Shamspeare stood in front of his gas lamp. So if he took the gas lamp off there and put his mouth on the pipe like that, was he, you know, okay, let's go. Don't worry about it. What the? These are... Wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints. That's what they were found at this... were found at the scene. The skin prints, counsel. I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Yes, exactly. You knew exactly what I was going for there, sour cream. It reveals all the places that Mr. Shamspeare touched in his room. Never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's the great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Dumbs was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspeare also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here, around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints were, and you would find yourself directly in front of... Ah! I don't believe it! The gas lamp! Though the reasoning why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Right, what have you been up to, you nut? I'd ask the court to recall Juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into the gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall Juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? Oh, no, I figured this out. Shamspeare moved into the apartment 3 months ago. Duncan Ross died a month ago. Did Shamspeare blow into the pipe to kill Duncan? Is he responsible for Duncan's death? Because he has a fragment of the envelope that was sent to Olive Green. He intercepted it because he... Oh no, oh no. No! That's the joke I made. That's not actually... It's the opposite that's happening. He's blowing into the pipe. I think Shamspeare might be a murderer. When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and gas stove to go out, and gas started leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is... if Mr. Shamspeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to...
Objection!
Well, no, I don't think you're wrong. I think the poison still came from the gas, but I think that there's something else going on here, too. Whilst I acknowledge the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination, I must toast to my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, they cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case. But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective. It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Certainly even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... please, my lord, if I may... Mr. Sato, it was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation at the scene, as a tool by which to explain the possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. That would explain the ghostly howls that Soseki hears. Oh, maybe. And if the trial were to come to an end now, We should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we could allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree. You're right. Whether these strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3. Oh yes, I do declare, the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what the shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints. That ain't enough. What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait, you heard his lordship. It's not fair dinkum evidence. I'll dink your Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Mrs. Sato, but I couldn't have done it without you. Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success. Why, Mr. Shamspear, you seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Very well, continue, counsel. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. Gas doesn't come for free, it costs... okay. Alright, we've seen most of this, so let's see if there's anything else happening when I press this. Always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable. It may seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time, right here in the capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know. Very difficult indeed. Thank you, that will do. Clearly, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too far already. I concur. Though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Thank you so much. We'll return your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, counsel. Okay, so that leaves statement 5 seems to be the one I'm probably going to be leaning towards next. You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It's happened a tidy few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it, my wife. She gets that devilish look on her face, and she slips some white powder into my cup. And you drink it anyway? I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it. And what happened to you? What did it taste like? It was god-awful, believe you me. Salty as hell. Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt. No. So, she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable. Salty tea. Let's move on, please. Okay, so his statement was worthless. So it's all down to her and... well, neither of them had anything to add, so I'm gonna have to suppress him.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Look at your mustache, it's giant. This is the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Yeah, exactly, Ryunosuke, thank you. But the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events in the night in question. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspear indeed put his mouth on the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides, yes, even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, it doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. You do make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I could give here? Can I show them that Shamspear really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? No. On the night in question. Well, there's no evidence that proves that. I have supporting testimony. Yeah, from Mr. Natsume. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is a witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed the details about the gas in the... A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrett residence that night. Namely... Yeah, this chapter is very gassy.
Take that!
Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant. Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence, or not? Golly! So that Shamspear fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Now hold your horses there. What would he do that for? Mr. Foreman. What is it, man? We can allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree, there is more to this case than meets the eye. Ugh. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic first and foremost. That's 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with the majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty, 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Squeak through again. Mr. William Shamspear. My lord, how can thy humble Shamspeare serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear, I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe, a man of logic and a dumb of ass. More like thick of ass. But your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did not indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains, at this time, unestablished conjecture. You would do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the lamp into Mr. Shamspeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there...
Objection!
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of the poison in the tea, some remnants of the tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived? There's only one possibility that I could think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Oh, he totally killed Duncan. Order, order, counsel. Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shamspeare wanted to end the life of...
Take that!
If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around these parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garrideb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamspeare was trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. It's the victim. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious!
Objection!
The accused is actually the aggrieved? Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison in the mouth of the gas pipe. The question then that arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspeare's murderous designs? You mean to suggest... Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shamspeare may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. and the only person who could have possibly perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motivation for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? How did he manage to... How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison in the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. You mean name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry.
Objection!
We know exactly what... There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? Could it have been Meterman? Could also be Quinby. It can't be Olive Green because she regained consciousness the same day that this happened. A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate Greek detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? So it has to be one of these two.
Take that!
Yeah, it's the other one. It's the lady. You claim this person is the true culprit. Highly suspicious, I would say, yes. Perhaps, my learned Nipponese friend, you should turn those wide eyes of suspicion on yourself. What? For it seems to me that your reckless reasoning makes you far more than anyone else you can name. A very dangerous man indeed. Gah! Mr. Naruhodo, please, you must concentrate. I was trying to. Then you must concentrate harder. Ugh, harsh.
Take that!
It's not her either. Could be Mr. Garadeb himself. Actually see my court record here.
Take that!
I mean, the only other person it could be is Olive, but wasn't she unconscious at the time? I guess it has to be her.
Take that!
Yeah. The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green? I do feel as though I've heard that name in recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where. Like, I don't understand, like... Yeah, like, I don't actually understand this. Why? I thought she was comatose because he was found keeled over that same day. If she just woke up, how would she have put the poison on there? Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. She never made it to the meeting, so how would she know Shamspear did it? She couldn't have done it accidentally. She put poison on the pipe. How do you do that accidentally? An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need to remind the court that Mr. Shamspear's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital unconscious. I think somehow she found out that Shamspear was responsible for Duncan's death. But how? She never actually got to that meeting before she was accidentally stabbed. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in the hospital yesterday. We found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had poison! And there was another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamspear. My lord, pray what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shamspear's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her. At least, not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. I regret that. Very well, I grant. Oh my god. Whatever. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. So it wasn't Shamspear that had this shard of the envelope. Olive Green dropped it in there. Oh, man. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. So it changed the meaning of that thing on its head. Oh, man. We'll do this part, and once we get back in the courtroom, we'll stop. 11:32 a.m. Joyful, jubilant, jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquire. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Why not Apple Jacks? Because it didn't exist in the 1890s. Did breakfast cereal even exist back then? Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah, Herlock Sholmes. May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent. I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful. Please save your derision. Please save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's quite nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow for once I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has been a beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? The answer came to me at once. It was so delightful. It's so delightfully simple. Simple? And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first light, I was exhausted, and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose, I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah. Yes, of course, it's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contained strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Bottle found in the possession of Miss Green with traces of slow-acting poison strychnine inside. Ah, could I have a word? No, it's Gregson. Gregson, how good of you to come. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. And look on your face, I'd say it's someone else's who you think you're making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. See the results, Inspector? The investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday? In Miss Shamspeare's room? Mr. Shamspeare's room? Blech. A man by the name of, yes, Selden. I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that... Well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? What? I've copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. Scotland Yard's file about the convicted criminal Selden that includes a newspaper article about him dying of illness in prison. Capital offenders file. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in a proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, and the inspector here is a shining diamond in his crown. A shining diamond? In the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all, certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mushast in floods of tears personally, so... Best of luck to you. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shamspeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to. Yeah, this is like perfect timing for this to stop. 12:30 p.m. Okay. Before I stop, let me look at the new evidence. So this is the poison we've been hearing so much about. Strychnine. There are a few remnants on the bottom of the bottle here. Look. I mustn't be tempted to try it. Of course not, as long as we don't lose this trial. No, even if we lose the trial. No, we mustn't lose the trial in the first place, Mr. Naruhodo. Make up your mind, Sato-san. Investigative findings related to Selden. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. The estimated 1,000 pounds worth of loot he stole remains uncovered. Manchester Strangeways prison announced the death of convicted murderer. He'd been suffering fever since the end of October. But by the shots of his cellmate, the medical staff arrived. The capital punishment couldn't be carried out. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. The estimated 1,000 pounds worth of loot he stole also remains unrecovered. Alright, I don't really see what's curious about that. Maybe the numbers of burglaries and suspected murders? Also, this case does still have something to do with the reason Sasato was called back to Japan, so... who knows? Why was Mr. Sholm so secretive about this case being published? Those are all answers that we may find out about next time on The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Wow, that does not load quick. I just want to check real quick and see where I am on the accolades. Because I think there's another thing for this chapter still. Spades? Okay, I have to redo the beginning of the chapter to get that conversation that I missed. Everything there is beyond. That's episode 3. This is episode 3, 4, or 5. So we're good there. I still have to do this one where I play as all of them in their different clothes. But that's going to be later. This is complete all the chapters in the second game. And this, yeah, I got down in 1. For having examined Miss Green's bottle before it falls from the table. The Noodler. For erroneously answering Mr. Sholmes' question about who might have something that belonged to the convict in episode 2. Erroneously answering. I guess I have to answer the wrong question. And then there's one thing for 3, 4, and I'm assuming that's 5. Cool. Alright, so we're making progress. I will do this at some point. Use the alternate costumes. They can only be used in the second game. There's essentially Western outfits for Iris and Ryunosuke, or for Ryunosuke and Sasato. And then there's a Japanese outfit for Herlock. That puts him in a rather unique-looking costume. And you do get an achievement if you see every character wearing it. So at some point I'll do it, but not this case. Maybe next case. But yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight. I may stream tomorrow night, I'm not sure. But tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 6 p.m. Pacific Time, I will be on Shellshock Prime's channel, talking about voice acting and gaming on his podcast, and it's gonna be pretty fun. I'll probably mention it on Twitter. I'll host them, all that fun stuff. We'll have a fun time, and then if I am able to, I will stream afterwards. We'll see. What do we got here? Wow, now I'm getting personal messages that are spams. Unbelievable. Block. Get that out of here. Thank you all for coming. You all have a great night. If you want to watch more streams, check out twitch.tv/team/wildabandon. Plenty of people streaming there right now. You all have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Maybe. Well, if you check out Shellshock Prime's channel, yes, you will. Have a good night.